So bringing your attention to your breath. Where is the one place that you instinctively are drawn to be close to your breath? Can you bring your attention to that place? And then not only, of course, are you aware of your breath, but you'll be aware of a myriad of information, that we are complex beings, that our awareness is used to being pulled in all these different directions. And to notice as you come to the breath, whatever else is there for you. To just be aware of it. Almost with the idea of meeting it with an air of neutrality. Can it be okay, whatever might be there, particularly if it's uncomfortable? Can part of you register, it's okay? And even just by pausing and noticing, you're doing the work. You're practicing alchemy. That when we meet what is uncomfortable within us, with a particular frequency of awareness, it's like a chemical reaction. It begins to shift and change the suffering into something else. And this is a process of evolution. If you can breathe through your nose, I encourage you to do that. If that's not available, it doesn't matter. We begin by inhaling for a count of 3 and exhaling for a count of 3. Just very simple, slow, steady, even breath. Nothing is forced. Nothing is strained. Both the inhalation and the exhalation are one fluid movement. Stay with this breath. And as you're breathing, if resistance arises, it might be feelings in the body, it might be noise in the head, it might be a sense of boredom or frustration. All of these are mechanisms of distraction. you just come back to the breath. Inhaling now for a count of 4 and exhaling for a count of 4. Again, the breath is slow and steady, using as little effort as you can to make this breath happen. Now, if it's comfortable, move to 5. But if breathing for 5 feels like it's too much, stay with 4. Stay with the length of the breath, but drop the counting. So the awareness, the attention can move even closer to the breath, almost as if you're looking at the breath as it's happening, feeling it. Every part of it uniformed. And then can you introduce a pause between the breath? Anywhere from 1 second to 5 seconds. So the breath remains comfortable, longer, fluid, but sustainable, comfortable. A pause at the top of the inhalation and a pause at the end of the exhalation. That's it, stay with this breath. Just a few more rounds, we're nearly there. After your next exhalation, let the breath return to its natural rhythm. Just noticing the idea that you could become awareness. Spacious awareness. Keep coming back to your breath. And then slowly transition onto your hands and knees. Slowly transition onto all fours. And when you get there, you might want to pad underneath the knees if that feels like a good thing to do. Close the eyes. And we just begin so softly, so gently, letting the hips sway a little, tuning into the breath. See if you can begin to let the lower back release and the belly release. Any tightness that reveals itself just as before you breathe into that space. And the tissue gets to experience expansion. The tissue, the muscle that has been overly contracted, a little stuck, gets to expand and experience possibilities. As you continue to move in this way, could you bring a little movement through the shoulders where you just begin to, as the hips sway, shrug the shoulders. All of the movement is simple, all of the movement is fluid. And then as you continue to do that, if your body invites you to move in any other way, feel free to do that. Just to feel and move and notice and explore. Stay aware of the breath as you move. And the head part of the movement of the body. Feel the weight through the hands. See, can you bring it forward toward the fingers? So the tips and base of the fingers anchor a little bit more firmly. Our intention is needed to redistribute, to find a more even disbursement of effort, of weight, of energy through the body. Part of this is dissolving old, uncomfortable patterns in our body. Patterns of protection, contraction. Keep moving in this way. Take your time as you come down onto the forearms. We'll interlace the fingers and keep the elbows right underneath the shoulders. And then pressing the forearms down into your mat. So you begin to feel how the shoulder blades splay, they broaden, as if you're leaning into that part of the back. Now the neck and the head are part of that elevation, part of that lifting. And just breathe into the broadness of the back. Obviously there's effort required to access this. Breathe into it so that upper back is as broad as it can possibly be. Some long, deep breaths right into that back space. And at the same time, can the lower back and belly soften? Can they drop? And as the lower back and belly drop, notice that tilting of the pelvis, where the base of the buttocks begins to tilt upward toward the sky. And then anywhere that gets overly tight, you breathe right into that space. All the different parts learning how to reconnect to each other. Stay with this for a few more breaths. Now, without changing any of that, without moving, begin to slowly pull the elbows toward the knees. Like the elbows and knees are magnetized. Keep breathing into the tightness. For 5. For 4. And 3. 2. And then begin to let things soften. Release the hands. Let's come back up onto the hands. Place them with the fingers spread and the creases of the wrist in line with the front of the mat. The hands are shoulder distance. The neck is in line with the crease of the wrists. The hips sway a little, the lower back is relaxed. So we're interested in the curvature of the spine, the curvature of the body, the curvature of the tissues, muscles, the contours have a lot to do with the vitality of the body. Feel the ribs like a balloon expanding. Press down through the base of the fingers. Very simple. The left hip begins to tilt back a little and the left shoulder begins to tilt forward a little. So you're just slowly lengthening that left side. And again, it doesn't have to be the furthest you can go to, but the moment you notice tightness, you're breathing into that space. Try not to let the head drop down. So the head, neck are an important part of the spine and they're used to being a little too far forward. So you lift the neck toward the sky and that fills the upper back area. Let that left side relax, let it release. As you come back to the middle, a little shrug or sway, and then you just explore lengthening through that right side. And that's all we're doing is exploring. We're not forcing, we're not straining. Two sides will feel different. You'll notice pockets of tension in different places. As you meet it, breathe. Give it time. It's the greatest gift we can give our bodies. Awareness and time. Coming back through center again and a little sway of the hips. Deep breath, a little shrug through the shoulders. Press the earth away, lift the neck again. Throat open. Belly relaxed. This time, without moving, press the knees apart. Feel that engagement of the outer hips. And without moving or changing the pelvis, just begin to walk the arms toward the left. Just begin to arc a little toward the left. So again, the right side, this opportunity to lengthen. Anywhere that you feel tightness is where your attention is needed. Lift the neck and head. Yeah. Stay with it. Sustainable. Nice. Come back through center, walk the two arms back. As you come back to the middle, little shrug, little sway, as if you're just releasing anything from that last position. Feel the ribs. Notice that sense of swelling of the ribs, the buoyancy, and the deep breath expands the tissue, and the tissue is more receptive as it expands. It's like you can get to go in a little deeper. As you expand, it also realigns the skeleton. Lower back relaxes, bum sticks up a little, press the knees apart. Sustain that in the pelvis, walk the arms in the other direction. breathe into what you're meeting. A few more breaths here. Perfect. Bring it back through center. Okay, so again, as you come back to the middle, you just let the hips sway. Some deeper breath, little movement through the shoulders. So every time we do a position, we're creating a little bit more freedom in the body. Or I should say, we're revealing a little bit more freedom. Okay, we're going to see if we can take the left arm and slide it over to the right, so we bring the left shoulder and the side of the head down toward the floor. Maybe they come all the way down, maybe they only go a little bit of the way. Either way, notice the space of the back, shoulder blade. Breathe into that back area. Breathe into what you're meeting. Couple more breaths. Okay, we're going to come back up to the middle. Same thing as before. We just have a little bit of movement just to release. And then when you're ready, second side, slide the arm over. Take your time, don't rush all the way down. Breathe into what you're meeting. Perfect. We're going to come all the way back up again. Again, as you come up, a little bit of movement, the hips, the shoulders. Breathe into the back and sides of the ribs. And then we're going to lift the two hands up. So we're going to come right up onto the knees and take our left foot forward. So the left ankle is fractionally further forward than the left knee. Two hands up on that front knee. If your back knee is sensitive, you put something underneath it. Equally, if you spread the toes of the 2 feet and you press the top of the back foot down, it'll move the weight from the knee backwards toward the foot. And then very simple, we're going to begin to slowly bring the front knee, the hips forward. Now you can go as slow as you need. You might go forward a centimeter and pause. And a centimeter and a centimeter. You choose how far, how fast you move. Go to whatever feels available. Anywhere that gets tight as you're going, pause and breathe into that space. Give it time. The body wants to open, wants to be free of tension in the same way we want that for our lives. But there needs to be an honoring of what's there. We need to move through it with skill, with safety, with compassion, with wisdom. Breathe. going to slowly bring everything back. I'm going to take the front leg back and the other leg forward. Feel into the toes and the 2 feet. So the toes in the positions they're in anchor. The toenails of the back foot, the toe pads of the front foot. Their job of actively connecting to the earth. And then we slowly let the hips sink forward. Again, take as long as you need. Inhaling and exhaling. And as you meet the tension in the body, breathe. Imagine you could breathe right into it. Stay with the breath and the body. Few more breaths here. So we'll come all the way back. And we're going to transition back to the first side. Again, feel the feet. So when you work with the feet, in our connection to the earth, so much of what that offers us is a quality of safety. And if we don't feel safe, change, positive change, is a very difficult thing to experience. So feel the feet and just know as you anchor the toes into the earth, that's what you're actually creating in the nervous system, is that quality of rootedness. And that translates into safety, and then the tissue of the body prepares itself to unlock, to dilate. Let the hips sink forward again. Breathe into what you meet. Couple more breaths here. Okay, let's bring the hips back. Second side. Again, first thing is bring the attention down to the feet and feel them on the earth, committed to the floor. Notice the breath, and then let the hips and knees sink forward. Pause wherever you feel it important to do that. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Perfect. So let's bring the hips back. Let's step the leg back. Let's come down onto hands and knees again. Everybody walk your knees back an inch or two. Keep the neck in line with the wrists. And we very simply sway as we did earlier. Let the hips sway a little. Let the shoulders shrug a little. Breathe into the back ribs. And just notice, feel the body. Perfect. Okay. I want you to move the two legs to the right side of the mat and lower your hips down to the left. And so the hips and the legs are heavy and the arms push the earth away. So it creates a little bit of lift in the upper body. And without moving the hands, you pull them toward you. And all of that tension through the side of the body, you're breathing into that space. Breathing into that space. If it's too much to be up here, you could be down on the forearms doing the same thing, or down on one forearm. Breathe. Perfect. So we're going to soften a little in the upper body, and we're going to come back onto the knees. Back to the middle. We let things sway and shrug a little. We breathe into the body. And then we move the two legs in the other direction. We lower the hips. We feel the ribs as we press the earth away and pull the hands toward us. And we breathe into the tightness that we're meeting. Breathe 3, 2, and then as you soften, come down onto your shoulder, so you're on the side of the body, roll over onto your back. And once again, with the two knees bent, bring the soles of the feet together, let the two knees drop apart. Again, if that's uncomfortable, you do the opposite of walking the feet apart and letting the knees drop in together. We're going to put the hands on the lower belly, just resting one hand on top of the other. And just tune into that space of the lower belly. Feel the movement of the breath. And let the body sink. Let the body drop down into the earth. slide one leg out and then slide the other leg out. Let the 2 feet be a little wider than the hips. If you want to put a blanket on or cover the eyes with a pillow. And as you let the body soften down into the earth, stay gently aware of your breath. Without moving, be aware of your breath. The feeling of it coming in and the feeling of it going out. And then take some deeper breaths and stretch a little. And very slowly bend one knee at a time, roll over to your side and get comfortable. And as you get comfortable, as you get still, let your attention once again be with your breath. I worried a lot. Will the garden grow? Will the rivers flow in the right direction? Will the earth turn as if it was taught? And if not, how shall I correct it? Was I right? Was I wrong? Will I be forgiven? Can I do better? Will I ever be able to sing? Even the sparrows can do it, and I am, well, hopeless. Is my eyesight fading, or am I just imagining it? Am I going to get rheumatoid arthritis, lockjaw, or dementia? Finally, I saw that worrying had come to nothing, and I gave it up. And I took my old body and I went out into the morning and sang. Finally, I saw that worrying had come to nothing, and I gave it up, and took my old body out into the morning and sang. I have refused to live locked in the orderly house of reason and proofs. The world I live in and believe in is wider than that. And anyway, what's wrong with maybe? You wouldn't believe what once or twice I have seen. I'll just tell you this. Only if there are angels in your head will you ever possibly see one. Only if there are angels in your head will you ever possibly see one. Let's bring ourselves up to sit. Take your time, move slowly. If you can do it without opening the eyes, try that out. And as you get to your seat, come back again to the breath. Just sitting here, nowhere to go, just to be here in this moment. Noticing your breath. Keep coming back to your breath. We're going to bring the hands then together in front of the heart, in front of the center of the chest. The hands represent this idea that we're bringing our heart in front of us. We're bringing it into the light of awareness, into what we see. The idea we're seeing deeper into ourselves, bringing it into the world, bringing ourselves more fully into the world. So this is a prayer that some of you will know, and if you feel compelled to repeat it, feel free to do that, or just listen if you want. Divine and precious Spirit, my friends of the light, those that have recognized the divine love affair, I ask you to shine light, intense divine healing light, into my being, dissolving any and all anger, fear, and guilt, releasing these into the violet flame for transmutation back into unconditional love. And I ask that my entire being be filled with the highest frequency of love. I ask this through the power of our one divine source now. We take our hands to touch our forehead. And then our lips. And then down to the heart. To ourselves, to each other for sharing the practice. To this process of meeting ourselves, of going deeper. To all of this we bow. Namaste. done, guys. Good work.